Sheriff?
Howdy, howdy. Bruce, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Is, Attorney Butterfield coming today? Do you know?
Yeah, that's I know, that should be here.
There she is. She's here.
I am here.
Happy birthday, a day early.
Thank you. I am not heard.
Yeah, my only problem
I
is
wrote to both Mark and
Really?
Peter,
the winters are tough for me.
and
They don't do anything, but we'll
I
see.
haven't gotten anything.
When my wife
Oh,
retired,
I got something from Mark.
Oh, good. So do we have something to review?
Yes.
Okay.
We do. It's been a long, hard road.
That it has.
I had to read the papers and not worry about this.
We good to go? Laurie, we good to go?
Whenever you are, sir.
Yeah, good to go, I guess.
Yeah.
Is it 3 o'clock?
Yeah. And now being 3 o'clock, we can call the October 14th meeting of the County Police Commission to order. To please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recording Secretary, Executive Assistant Lori Marsh is present, and let the minutes show that Commissioner Whittam, Commissioner Mello, and Commissioner Davis are present. I'd like to recognize Chief Canfield. We have a quorum, so we will proceed. We have a presentation.
We do, she's not here quite yet, so maybe if we can skip over
Okay.
that and come back to it.
Commendations and awards,
Nothing?
resignations and retirements. Chief Canfield.
Nothing.
Promotions and classification changes. Chief Canfield.
Nothing?
Okay. Command staff report, the support division. Chief Canfield.
So Captain Grayton's been working on our CIP presentation, which takes place tomorrow night. We'll be asking for 3 new cruisers, the replacement of several portable radios, as well as a police technology request. So that's our CIP request for tomorrow night. That will be presented here at 6:30. And that is it for support.
Questions? Okay, moving on. Operations division. Chief Canfield.
They just completed a testing process to fill the 1 position that we have. That was conducted last weekend at the middle school. The middle school was very helpful in opening up the school and allowing us to use it. It worked out to be a very good site to do the written test and then the PT test right afterwards. The candidates were able to shower there, and then they completed oral interviews. We typically participate in the Great Bay testing process, which is a regional testing effort that has been sidelined because of COVID. So we ran our own testing process. We had about 20 applicants, and 2 of which were, the top 2 candidates were referred for chief's interviews, which will be taking place on Friday, both of which are highly spoken of throughout the process. So we'll see how that goes, but certainly looks good to fill the 1 position that we have. They're working through a new scheduling software that will assist with the scheduling and leave requests. So they're looking to integrate that, and that is it for operations.
Questions? Commission action. You've all received a copy of the previous minutes. Any additions, deletions, corrections? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
The minutes as written.
Frank?
Second.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Mello, seconded by Commissioner Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. The meeting minutes of September 16th accepted as distributed. Review of monthly activity reports, department monthly highlights. Chief Canfield.
So for the month of September, we responded to 2,700 calls for service. Investigated 375 criminal offenses, clearing 200 of those by arrests. Conducted 680 motor vehicle stops, 22 summonses, 605 warnings. Both motor vehicle stops and written warnings are up considerably. Comparatively speaking, motor vehicle stops for the corresponding month last year was 354 versus the 680 this month, or this year in September. We had 1 fatal motor vehicle accident, 38 total motor vehicle accidents, 11 motor vehicle accidents with injury, 123 parking tickets issued, 5 DWI arrests, 25 people were taken into custody for intoxication. And during the month of September, we responded to a total of 36 domestic disturbance calls, 171 other disturbances, 4 suicidal subjects, 4 violation of restraining orders, and 1 barricaded subject. And that is it for the monthly highlights.
Questions? Okay, moving on. Coronal Investigative Unit Statistics. Chief Canfield.
During the month of September, detectives were assigned 25 initial cases. They've been taking more cases up there as of late, and they've been working some really big cases and very significant cases that hopefully they'll be bringing to a conclusion very shortly. Conducted 39 follow-up investigations, made 8 felony arrests, conducted 8 felony charges, made 8 misdemeanor arrests, 2 misdemeanor charges, issued 44 search warrants or arrest warrants, cleared 2 cases exceptionally, cleared 1 case by means of unfounded, conducted 20 sex offender registrations, 1 knock and talk, 9 drug intel sheets, and 2 polygraph examinations. Along with that, they conducted a total of 50 body-worn camera redactions for discovery.
How come the sex offenders registrations have gone down?
They can vary by the time of month,
Do they?
or by sex offenders move it into or out of Laconia. So that's why it does fluctuate from month to month.
Okay, let's go back to personnel matters. Chief Canfield.
So Robin Moyer is here. She's going to do a brief overview of our CALIA accreditation process, the assessment that took place in July, and then give a little bit of a brief on how we're looking for our assessment review by the CALIA team in November. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Good to see you. I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of how our on-site went, like the chief said. We have, just as a brief overview for CALIA, we have to comply. There's 484 total standards in advanced accreditation. Of those, 371 we comply with. 102 of those are non-applicable by function, and 11 of those are 20%. It's a category that you can put non-mandatory standards into. You can just choose to not do them if they're not mandatory. So prior to the on-site assessment, each year we have a compliance service review by a compliance service member, or CSM is what CALIA calls them. They're able to log into our Power DMS system where our assessment is kept, and they're able to review remotely a particular number of standards that they choose. They let me know a few weeks before which standards they're going to review, and then they log in and they review them. So in the first year, they did 79 standards. The second year, they did 177. In the third year, they did 91. And on our fourth and final year, he reviewed 253 standards. And he wasn't supposed to do that many, but he said because our assessment looked so good, he just kept signing off on things as he found them. So that we actually did really, really well for our assessment, and he said so. He said it's an extremely good assessment that we did. So as far as I was concerned, we were done on that day, and the rest was just frosting. On the site-based review, prior to the actual review, which was from July 6th to the 8th, and it was all done via Zoom meetings and telephone interviews. We met with the team later. His name was Rob Geis, and the chief and Captain Grayton and I sat with him, and we decided what areas we would be reviewing. And they were basically areas of focus. And in those areas of focus, once we chose them, we would select people to give presentations or give some background on those areas of focus. So the areas were community engagement, training, body-worn and in-car cameras, property and evidence, labor management relations, communications center, specialized units and assignments, and recruitment and selection. They conducted 29 interviews with the agency members and as well as members outside of the community stakeholders. Of those areas of review or areas of focus, they didn't find any issues. In their executive summary, they summed up all of their interviews with each of those people who conducted those. They didn't find any issues, and I'm thinking that our review with the commission is going to go quite smoothly on November 13th. And that will be an interview conducted by a three-board panel that will ask the chief questions about our on-site and about our agency, and they'll just ask him questions in that regards. And that will be done via Zoom.
Thank you. So, you never know how important national accreditation is. We've been doing it for what, 10 years, 12 years now?
Yep.
Until the recent, national police events have taken place across the country, whether that goes back to, 5 years ago, when you had the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing, or the recent events that have taken place across the country over the last, 6 months or so. But then you start looking at our own state, and you look at the Governor's Commission on Law Enforcement Accountability and Community Task Force they put together to look at New Hampshire law enforcement and how we compare and how we can do better in light of national events. So then you start looking at in national accreditation hits so many of these key things that these other agencies are not doing across the country or in our own state. I think last I knew we had about 13 accredited agencies in New Hampshire that are nationally accredited. 13 agencies out of all the police agencies in New Hampshire, that's not a lot of agencies. That being said, the accreditation process that Robin runs seamlessly, and really, she doesn't speak a peep about how much work it is, but on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and a yearly basis, the accreditation process is an ongoing, living beast, really. And it's an incredible amount of work. And then you look at the on-site that they do. They typically come out here and spend 3 full days going through the agency. They did a little bit differently this year with Zoom, but it certainly was an examination that was very thorough. I mean, 29 interviews, in-depth interviews of our employees alone speaks a lot. And they came out of that thinking that we had no issues, basically. So it's a tremendous burden that Robin bears all the time, and I think we kind of take it for granted sometimes. Because it just gets done. The on-site comes about and she just says, hey, we have this going on, this going on, this going on, and this is what you're going to need to do. These are the interviews we need to do. But when you look behind the scenes and look at how much work it is to meet the accreditation standards, the proofs, and then go through the actual on-site, and then obviously in November, our review with the commission, It's pretty incredible. And to have an accreditation manager like Robin that does that without a hiccup is truly amazing. So not only did I want you to do a presentation to the commission to let them know what our assessment was like, but I also wanted them to recognize you for the work that you've done. And we have a little something just to kind of show our appreciation, so. Sheriff Moore, if you want to come up and help me present this.
By the way, she complains to me all the time about it.
That's good, I like
Just letting you know.
That's good. So on behalf, and I'm not gonna take that out of the bag so we don't wrong, but on behalf of the department, we'd like the appreciation for outstanding performance and dedication to our law enforcement accreditation for credentialing process. The 2020 CALIA reaccreditation assessment. It's been a real
Thank you.
pleasure, and
Thank you.
this just means that you cannot retire anytime soon. Sure.
Well, I can't.
You wanna do it with the commission in the background?
I think,
Yeah.
according to Sheriff Moyer, his name should be on that also.
I was the first chief today. Here, come on, here.
Nice.
Probably.
There you go.
This one.
No, gloves on.
Yes. Thank you.
I appreciate it. So, good job.
It's, in reading the governor's executive order, it sets us up nicely
It
to
does.
answer all those questions, and it makes your job a lot easier that we are accredited, I think, to,
Absolutely. We were
to hit
we were
all
talking
those.
about that a little bit, and it's actually on the agenda later on, the actual, items for the government task force, and it's just, we hit 90% of them.
right,
You
yeah.
know, and it's just amazing. So.
And this review, it also, is the review part of your packets? Did they?
I think I
get a
sent
copy?
it to them maybe a month ago.
Yeah, I mean,
last
it's
time we
huge,
said
it's
it.
very long, a lot of it's a lot of data and charts and whatever, but this would be a good thing to send to the governor, because it points out in it directly that we're a community policing organization and always have been to our core, and that was one of the big things on that executive order, so,
Yeah,
yeah, so,
sure.
yeah, make your job easier.
Just a question about process, is it the same for like a really small department versus like a Manchester? Same standards, I mean, for everybody, or?
We do advanced accreditation, and some agencies can opt to do what's called Tier 1 accreditation, which is less standards. It's 181 standards that you would have to meet. They're the same standards, however, and you have to prove them in the same way. And a lot of the mandatory standards are the same, whether or not you're advanced accreditation or Tier 1. So,
It seems like somebody, that would certainly help meet the governor's, I read the governor's report, so it seems like it's pretty comprehensive, but it seems like it
Yes.
definitely help meet that for sure.
definitely, yeah, even like the Tier 1, they're gonna be able to easily meet those requirements in the executive order, definitely. It's, in some cases, some of the standards are easier for a larger department to meet than a smaller department, just by means that they would have more opportunity for proofs. I know that Stratford County Sheriff's Department got accredited for law enforcement, and there was a challenge in some of those standards because their function is different from a law enforcement function. And they're law enforcement, but a lot of the things that they do are different than from the day-to-day patrol function, you know what I mean? So their standards were a little bit harder to meet, and they had to show how they do things more so than proving it on paper. So, but it can definitely be done small or large, yeah.
Was this remote process more difficult than previous?
The challenge was the organization of it. So luckily Glenn Smith in finance, he had his Zoom account, and we have our department Zoom account. And between he and I, we were able to schedule out the interviews. That was the true challenge, was coming up with the schedule, making sure everybody was there where they were supposed to be on time, and making sure it went off without a hitch, sometimes running 2 meetings at the same time. So because we had the City Hall account and our account, both team leaders were able to run their assessments at the same
Same time.
So, or their reviews at the same time. So it made it, I mean, in some ways it's easier, and I've talked to other assessors, and they kind of miss the ability to be hands-on and get a real good look at the
Face to
department, and
face.
just sort of grab people as they walk by and give them an interview or whatever. But at the same time, it keeps it kind of right on the money, and you're able to actually talk to more people because you're running such a tight schedule. So that it has its pluses and minuses, I've heard from an assessor's standpoint too. So
Thank you.
It's a lot of work, thank you.
you're welcome, thank you.
You. Good.
You certainly don't have to stay, Robin,
Okay,
if you don't want.
I can go back to my IT emergency.
I'll leave also. Great seeing everybody again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, great seeing you.
Moving back to the agenda, budget printouts. Chief Canfield, the budget.
The budget is right on track. Of course, we're still at the beginning of the budget year, so, but things are looking good as far as that goes.
Monthly traffic statistics. Chief Canfield.
So for the month of September, we issued a total of 123 parking tickets. I think I mentioned it earlier. Responded a total of 38 motor vehicle accidents, 12 of which were with injury, 1 of which was fatal. The number one location or the number one cause for motor vehicle accidents, which attributed to 9 of the accidents, was for driver inattention or distraction. Second was 7 of the accidents were caused by failure to yield the right of way, followed by 6 of them for unsafe backing. Accident breakdowns, 10 of those accidents occurred on Union Avenue, followed by 4 of them that occurred on Court Street, followed by a tie for third, which 2 accidents occurred on Endicott Street North and 2 on Weirs Boulevard. That is it for
Union Avenue and Court Street, always consistently the top.
Yeah, it's just a very high traffic volume in congested areas, so.
Monthly fleet report.
The 2 of the new cars are in, the third one should be in shortly. So they're working to equip those and get those on the road, hopefully within the next month or 2. And that's it for the fleet.
And Chief's report.
So for the year-to-date drug overdose calls, we've responded to a total of 55 drug overdoses as compared to 63 total last year. We've had 3 drug overdose deaths, whereas last year there was a total of 9 drug overdose deaths. I participated in a conference call with the New Hampshire Chiefs Association, along with the new director of the Police Standards and Training Council, John Skippa. There was discussion of the governor's Law Enforcement Accountability Act and those 48 recommendations, as well as changes to the academy. Currently, the academy is running in a day academy. There is no overnight academy like they used to do. They anticipate that that's going to continue. It costs over $1 million to house them and feed them every, biannually, or every 2 years. So as part of the reduction of their budget, they cut out the overnight lodging and meals. So I don't think that's going to change. And speaking with Director Skippa, he's in favor of continuing it as a day academy, but maybe lengthening the academy from 4 months to 6 months. But that's something that remains to be seen. The curriculum's being updated that we'll see probably with the January Academy to reflect some of the changes with the Governor's Task Force. We have integrated the Dragon law enforcement dictation software. Officers underwent training in that last month, so they're using that to dictate their reports now directly into the records management software or program. So hopefully that speeds up the turnaround time where they were dictating them into a digital recorder, downloading them, and a secretary would transcribe those and then send them back, and it was quite a delay. So I think this is going to speed this up and hopefully keep officers on the road a lot more than being in the patrol room. Police Department security has once again become a problem. We had 4 vehicles that were parked in the back lot near the impound lot. 4 of those vehicles were slashed, the tires were slashed. One of which was a dispatcher's vehicle, and the other 3 were police vehicles. As you know, over the years, we've had many issues with either vandalism or things being damaged in the back parking lot of the police station. So we're working to secure some type of fence on the backside and on the left side of it somehow. And we've been working with Public Works on that. Our dispatch center participated in a joint exercise along with Guilford Police Department and Lakes Region Fire Dispatch. It was most of a day exercise testing their ability to adapt and adjust should certain systems go down, whether it be phone lines or radios, and how we can switch to another, either Guilford PD or Lakes Region Fire Dispatch in the event something fails, in the interoperability of it. And it was a very good joint exercise that was conducted with all 3 agencies. Participated in an FBI conference call with the director of the FBI on October 13th in regards to election security. So some of the changes that are coming about in regards to that. And then I'll be doing the International Association of Chiefs of Police Conference this year, which is the 21st through the 23rd of this month. That'll be meeting virtually instead of doing an in-person conference. As part of that, I'll be participating in the subcommittee meeting on the Committee on Terrorism that I was appointed to 2 years ago. My term expires this November. However, I've been nominated to be reappointed to that position, so hopefully I'll be reappointed to that committee. And that's all for my report.
Moving on to old business. Chief, nothing?
Nothing?
New business?
Nothing?
Other business?
Nothing?
Confirmation of the next meeting, November 18th, 2020. Any conflicts or? Okay. Citizen comments.
If I might just say a quick word. The manager brought up last night the department's motor vehicle efforts. And I want to tell the chief and the commission how pleased I think the council was to see the increased activity, and particularly the fact that we're not swamped with summonses, just a lot more visibility. Chief and I have talked about it several times. I think we've talked about it a few times. And I think it's good for the department. I think it's good for the city. And I want to compliment you and your men and women for the effort they put in. Looking forward to more. But I think you've made a tremendous effort, and I appreciate that very much. And I think I speak for the council when I say we're very pleased. Thanks for the effort. Thank you.
Very nice, thank you. Is there a need for non-public?
There is.
I'll take it.
Thrown out of better places.
I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public session.
The dismissal, promotion, and compensation of our public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or investigation of any charge against him or her, unless the employee affected has the right to a meeting and requests that the meeting be open, in which case
the request shall be granted.
Is there a second?
Second?
Discussion, okay. On a motion made by Commissioner Mello, with a second by Commissioner Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously in accordance with RSA 91A32. The Laconia Police Commission enters into non-public session at 3:29 PM for the purpose of dismissal, promotion, or compensation of a public employee.
I answer.